Hello and welcome to Lunch and Learn with Sandra, your RDN, where every week I have the pleasure of dishing out your nutrition and wellness news for your mind and your body and your soul. And I hope that everybody had a wonderful weekend and I hope that your day is going well. And I thank you so much for tuning in live with me. Hopefully you're taking a little break, eating some lunch, and getting ready for the second half of your day. And those who are listening to the replay, I appreciate you pausing and taking time out to tune in just to get some nutrition and wellness news that'll help to move you forward just a little bit further on in your journey, as well as your family. And so we are continuing on our July theme with managing a social life without the unwanted weight gain that generally comes along with it. And today we're speaking specifically about four keys to enjoy dining out without the unwanted weight gain. So, dining out is a tricky thing, and sometimes it's a fearful thing when we are making those decisions to eat healthier, and definitely when we're trying to lose weight. And so, going out in general is an opportunity to test out those new strategies that you come up with in order to deal with temptation. Okay. So a lot of times with this weight loss thing and this lifestyle thing, it's on the job training. And so you don't really know where you are and where your weaknesses are and where your strengths are until you are in the moment. Okay. Until life kicks in, especially the unexpected. And sure, anyone can quit sugar or do a detox, so to speak, for a short period, finite amount of time. But figuring out how to work around eating out makes us stronger in the lifelong maintenance of those habits. And so that's what we want to get to a point where no matter what the situation is, it does not cause you to derail with your self-care. Okay. And so are you constantly being told to cook at home for faster weight loss, or maybe recent studies show that it is possible to dine out and shed pounds? Okay. It's just about having the right tools in your toolbox, knowing what is and knowing what is not, and being willing and open to learning and recognizing that, hey, there's sometimes we don't know what we don't know. And so today I'm going to talk about the four easy must knows on eating out without overdoing it. So, for those who do not know me, my name is Sandra Goltry, and I am a registered dietitian, licensed nutritionist, and your accountability partner. And I teach adults the necessary tools and techniques to break those weight plateaus and to move them forward in having a healthier relationship with food and effectively controlling food cravings. So that is really, really important. Okay. And so the question is, are restaurants setting you up to fail? Okay. You finally made this decision. You're going to commit to changing habits and losing weight and eating healthier. So are restaurants setting you up for failure? Low calorie dishes have a boatload of sodium in it. So I'm just going to kind of throw some facts out there. Even savory dishes like ribs can pack on 100 grams or more of sugar alone. And a recent study shows that about 92% of restaurant entrees across the country have almost as many calories as the average. I'm saying average adult should eat in one day. So, and that easily 1,200 calories or more easily. Okay, just for one dish. And the thing is most people will eat the whole thing. So it's a wonder that we're bloated, we have a lot of retention, we have a problem with our weight, we have a problem with various medical conditions, just because if we're doing that many times a week, then it will take a toll on our body. So today, again, we're talking about the four keys to enjoy dining out without the unwanted weight gain. And so as you are tuning in, please feel free to say hello to me, say where you are, who you are, where you're tuning in from, and tell me, how often do you eat out? How often do you eat out in a week? Okay, how many meals do you eat out on a week? Okay, just to give me an idea of what we have here. And so let's talk about, first of all, is this a relatable topic to you? So do you find yourself when you eat out, if you get on the scale, a lot of times people are scared to get on the scale, but if you do get on the scale after eating out, do you find yourself maybe gaining 1 to 3 pounds, maybe? And how does that make you feel? Like, do you feel defeated because you gained this weight when you know that you did well, maybe throughout the work week or your weekdays, and then all of a sudden you go out on Friday or Saturday, and then you seem like, oh my gosh, I didn't gain all the weight back. So type relate if this is something that's very relatable. And trust me, you are not alone. This is very common. However, when you have the tools and when you have the knowledge and when you have the basic understanding of nutrition and how that works, it's not as fearful and you're able to make informed choices. And then, hey, if you do gain a pound, you understand exactly why. And, and there's no reason to beat yourself up because you know. All right. So let's talk about the first key to enjoying dining out without the unwanted weight gain. All right. So let's talk about that. So break it up early. Okay. Break it up early. I'm getting my banners all set up for you. So here's a scenario. So let's say your intention is to go out only to eat half of your pasta dish. So you know you're in the mood for pasta. You want, and we know that's usually a dish that comes on a very large plate, right? Pasta. So your intention is to eat half of it, okay? But it gets a lot harder. You start shoveling it in. It's tasting good. You're talking. You're having conversations. And while the plate's just sitting right there in front of you. Very common. Why would you not? So here's a way around that. Practice portion control from the time that you order your plate versus when the plate gets to you and then you want to try to, have that power, that discipline to portion it out. Okay. Because it's easier to do it when you do it when you order it versus when you're trying to do it when the food is in front of you. So the way to handle that is you ask your server, hey, can you bring half of the pasta out to me and already have the other half in a takeout container? If you feel like you're a little stronger, you can ask for an extra plate and take it off. But the safer way is to say, hey, give me half and put the rest in a box. Now, I will say many servers, they're not used to doing this. It's not their desire to do that. So you probably will have to ask several times, say, hey, I really want this cut in half because I do not want to eat the whole thing. So you're going to have to, you may get a little innocent pushback on that. But that is a safe way to handle things, okay? One way to handle things, especially, like I said, if you don't feel like you have the discipline. And so eating a portion of your food. So talk about that. So is eating a portion of your food a challenge for you or is it easy for you, okay? So, right, type easy if it's easy, a challenge if it's a challenge, or you're just going to eat it all because, hey, and that's an option as well. So where do you fall in that regard? And I remember there was a time where it was very difficult for me to have it all there and want to eat half of it or leave some of it because you're just sitting there, especially if you're sitting there and you're having a conversation. Then before you know it, you've eaten everything on the plate. And so it does take a lot of practice. So where are you in that department? Is it easy for you to portion it out, or do you feel like, hey, let's go ahead and pack some of this stuff up to go? Number 2, so a second key in enjoying dining out without the unwanted weight gain is to know the menu before you get there, okay? So a successful dining out experience is when you're watching your weight is advanced preparation, okay? Especially when a lot of times we know what restaurant we want to go to. We know what day we're going. Everything is not a spur of the moment. And even if it is a spur of the moment, are you going to restaurants that are familiar to you? So if they're familiar, then you already have an opportunity to look at the menu. So look at the menu online before you go to find out what's available. Think about what you might want to order and see which meals that you can customize and fit to your personal needs. Maybe you get certain things on the sides like sauces and dressings and stuff like that. Or maybe you can ask, well, how is the season? So me having high blood pressure, that is something that I ask a lot. How is the season? What is on it? A lot of times I will ask for pepper or something like that. Or I'll say non-sodium containing seasonings because a lot of times, of course, it's loaded with sodium. And I like to say it doesn't have to taste salty to have a lot of salt in it. So that's something to think about. It just kind of depends. Everybody's taste buds and sensitivity to salt is very, very different. And so, for example, if you know that there's a dessert that you just dying to try or something that you want to have because you've been at this restaurant before, plan in advance so you don't have to, so you know how to cut back during other parts of your meal. Now, I didn't say avoid carbs because that's usually the first thing that people do, but you do want to kind of cut down. That's a perfect opportunity to cut your meal in half. And in some restaurants, you can cut it in thirds. So it just kind of depends on the portions and what you're ordering. So don't show up at the restaurant hungry. Okay, that is number one recipe for overeating. Okay, definitely. So make sure that if you're hungry when you leave and you haven't really eaten anything, have some kind of a snack. Maybe a half an ounce of nuts with a piece of fruit before you leave, just so you're not overdoing it when you get to the restaurant on the bread basket and all the other little things. Or you order appetizers, and a lot of times people will say order from the appetizer menu because it's healthier or has less calories. Well, not necessarily, because usually it's fried. And so it's usually not a healthier choice. Okay. So you got to kind of think about what those appetizers are, and are you going to be satisfied with that? So you have to think about that. So then you find yourself still ordering off the regular menu. So don't deprive yourself when you're at home by skipping meals or cutting carbs to save calories. So that's kind of the second reason that we will overeat if we're doing things like that. So there's a way to prepare your body throughout the day for those major events. Okay, so that's where that knowledge comes in, and it's very, very important. So, and that's something that I do work with my clients on, because it's very important to know that you don't want to skip meals, you don't want to cut carbs to save for this outing, because then you're going to set yourself up for doing exactly what you don't want to do, and set yourself up to break the very rule that the reason why you skip the calories to begin with, if that makes sense. So we got to be really, really careful with that. All right. And so, yes or no? So do you currently research the menu in advance, looking for healthier options? Okay. Now, most restaurants will have menus. If it's just maybe a family-owned business, no, you may not find it. It depends. Sometimes you do. But always try to search for a menu online. When you get there, ask them. Of course, they're not going to have it on display, but ask them. If it's a franchise type restaurant, by law, they are supposed to have nutrition information available, whether it's online, whether it's on a kiosk, whether it's on paper, but by law, they are supposed to have that information. You just have to ask for it. Okay, they may not make it publicly simple for you to find, but they are supposed to have it. And it's very important to look at it and to work with a dietitian to make sure you really understand what you're looking at. Okay, you're not just looking at sugar, you're not just looking at carbs. You want to make sure you look at the whole menu. All righty. So do your research. Okay, do you currently research? And if you don't, hopefully this will inspire you to start doing that. And some restaurants have very nice nutrition information. Sometimes it's interactive, and they can show you, if you put this on there, what it does, and if you take this off, what it does, which I love those. Not many restaurants do that, but those that do, that's awesome. That's awesome. So take advantage of that. Right. The third key to enjoy dining out without the unwanted weight gain is to be aware of sneaky calories on salads and veggies. So I can't say how many times I hear, oh, when I went out to eat, I got a salad, I had some chicken with it, and that's it. And so salads are not always the best option, not always the low calorie option, not always the best option. Okay. And we still need some carbs. So usually that's the purpose of doing that. And chicken, in many cases, is not the healthiest thing to eat out. From a fat perspective, it is, but from a sodium perspective, it generally is not. So we got to think about those things too. And you also got to think about your frequency of how often you eat out. Okay, so you want to limit eating out to 1 to 2 meals a week. Okay, so if you're somebody who's eating out 4 times a week, that will sit on you, and that will make it very, very difficult to lose weight, and it can introduce other health problems as well. So beware of the sneaky calories on salads and vegetables. Okay, so salads and vegetables, they're healthy by nature, right? They are healthy by nature. However, when it's prepared in a restaurant, that's when things change, right? And so they also can be a vehicle for loads of extra calories, especially when it's soaked in dressing or oils, or it's deep fried, or it's piled with cheese or whatever, loaded with some kind of sodium containing seasonings and things like that. So now what was naturally healthy choice, unless you say, give it to me steamed without X, Y, Z. And this is where the menu will help you, because in many cases, you will see that the vegetables are seasoned a certain way, or they're marinated in something, or there's some kind of sauce on it. And so you got to understand the code words. So there's a lot of code words in the menu too, because you got to make it sound good, but you got to also know what it really means at the end of the day. And so toppings and mix-ins and techniques that can pack on lots of fat and lots of calories and add a sugar. So it just kind of depends. So don't feel afraid to customize your salad or your vegetables. Ask them what they're putting on it. Understand what they're putting on it. Okay. Understand when you read it, understand what all the different things mean. Just because it has all these different cheeses and all these different dried fruits and nuts and stuff, you want to make sure that sometimes you need to half your salad. Because by the time it's all said and done, that the number of calories in a salad, I've seen them 1,600 calories. So, so you got to be really careful with that. So you might as well eat a burger, right? So in some cases, that is very true. So if you're ordering vegetables, ask how they are prepared and see if yours can maybe be made with less butter or butter on the side, and you control it. As much as you can control, the better. And I personally get them steamed, but you can, and like I said, you request the oil, the vinegar, and things like that on the side, especially salad dressings. Definitely want to get those on the side, and you want to control it. Okay. I see a lot of people when they get their salad dressing on the side, they'll either dip their fork in it or they'll dip the leaves of the salad into the salad dressing. And that definitely, it doesn't cut down. I mean, you're still using the whole container. So you got to just be mindful of some of the tricks that we think we're doing in order to lessen the calories. So, okay. I know, probably didn't know that one. So any comments, any questions, chime in if this is resonating, if you notice something with the vegetables or salad or anything we've talked about, please make comments. Please make comments, and I am here to help, okay? And so, skip or eat. Okay, so do you skip the croutons on your salad? I hear this a lot too. They will order the salad and they'll keep all the stuff on there, like the blue cheese and the, all the other stuff, the eggs, but they'll take out the croutons. So let me ask you, do you all take the croutons off? And if you do, why do you take off the croutons? Okay. Because, and it's funny for me because when I observe people who skip putting on the croutons, I know they're doing it because they're trying to eat low carb, so I understand why they're doing it. But I also pay attention to, well, they just ate like 3 pieces of bread from the bread basket. They ordered a sugary beverage drink, like Arnold Palmer or something. So the carbs are there. And so that's why it's really important to understand what carbs are. And a lot of times people don't really understand what carbs are. There is absolutely nothing wrong with croutons. I love having croutons on my salad, and that is not going to break the bank. I like the crunch factor. So you got to make sure when you're cutting things out, why are you doing it? And is it really necessary? And is it really helping at the end of the day? And so one trick to offset the calories and to keep your croutons on your salad, especially if you like them, you're just doing it because somebody said don't do it, is to skip the bread. Ask for your salad to come out before your meal. Have that as an appetizer, especially if it's not a dinner, it's not an entree size salad. And that can serve as your appetizer. So a good appetizer is side salad. But if you show up to the restaurant starving because you saved calories or didn't eat anything, then right, a salad is not going to cut it. You're going to look at that salad and it's not going to work for you. So you always want to set yourself up for success and not allow yourself to get too hungry. That is so very important. All right, so our final key to enjoying dining out without the unwanted weight gain. Again, post your comments, post your questions. I would love to hear some of the things that you do in a restaurant to control the calories, or some of the things that you order to control the calories. And I can help you to say, hey, maybe do this or try this, or hey, you're right on track. So allow me to give you some feedback there. So focus on quality over quantity. Okay. This is our 4th one. Focus on quality instead of quantity. Okay. This is very important. So be selective, be picky. And this comes in time. Okay. So once you start to understand what food is and what it's not, then you really become selective in your indulgences, okay? And because you want to make it worth it. You want to make it worth it. It's almost like when you understand the value of a calorie the same way we understand the value of $1, then you're selective in how you spend your calories, right? And so I go a step further and say, focus on quality rather than getting your money's worth, okay? Big one. Focus on quality rather than getting your money's worth. So think about a buffet. People go to a buffet, they want to eat all they can eat because they're getting their money's worth. But is that the best thing for your body? Okay. So if the food doesn't come out with the dressing on the side, or no breading like you asked ordered, send it back. Don't keep it. You want to have things ordered properly. Okay. If you said you want your vegetables steamed, but they brought them out with the butter sauce on there, request that it goes back, because that's not what you ordered, and you're doing this for health reasons. So seek a quality experience that's fresh produce, organic meats, interesting cocktails, rather than large quantities or portions when you're dining out. So usually the larger quantities are cheaper. Okay, they're higher empty calories and empty carbs and fat, high in sodium. Think about the dollar menu. Okay, think about the dollar menu. What is on the dollar menu versus $5 menu? Think about things like that for an example. And usually these foods are also lacking fiber and other nutrients that will actually benefit the body. So it's just empty calories, okay? And then and take a stand for what's good for your body and for your eating pattern. So the goal is to leave any restaurant feeling satisfied, okay? You don't want to leave a restaurant feeling like you sabotage a week's worth of eating clean at home, and you're working hard with your exercise and things like that, provided you know what clean means, okay? Clean does not mean restrict. So that's a whole nother lie that I've talked about in the past. So when you know you've done a good thing during the week, really have done a good thing, and then all of a sudden you go to the restaurant and now you're feeling all bloated, now you're feeling like you sabotage everything. You don't want to feel that way. You want to enjoy eating out, okay? So what is the takeaway message here today? So remember two things. Diet does not mean deprivation, and healthy or clean eating does not mean restriction, okay? So you can go out, you can still lose weight at any type of restaurant, or at minimum maintain. Honestly, that's what I tell my clients, especially when they're new on the journey. Maintain, because that's a challenge in itself when you're starting out, and it's a victory. Okay, the big thing is a victory, because then you will feel like, hey, I enjoyed myself and I didn't set myself back. Okay, so enjoy any type of restaurant, whether it's Indian, Thai, Italian. The challenge is choosing the healthiest items, or choosing something that you enjoy, but understand what's in it and how to portion it, or maybe get some things on the side to where you can control it, not necessarily cut it out, but control it. So it just kind of depends on what the meal is, that it fits into your plan for the day. And then you make adjustments for the rest of your day. Not restrict, but you do make adjustments, okay? And so finding that secret sauce is different for everybody, and that's where personalization comes in, okay? So once you start to gain the tools and the knowledge of things that you maybe didn't realize that you needed to know, then you have to personalize it to make it work for you, because everybody is different, right? So, do you need help on how to balance eating out, as well as, well, what do you eat before going out to the restaurant or going out on this big event, so that you don't sabotage your goals that you are trying to reach, especially if you got on the scale that morning before you're going out and it's like, yes, it went down. How do you keep that? How do you hold on to that? And this is a very common fear that people have when they have finally made that commitment to eat healthier or to lose weight. And so one way I am here to help you with is to download my free 5-day meal plan. So it is called Jumpstart Your Weight Loss and Boost Your Energy Levels. And so these are 5 days with meals and recipes that are fast, easy to prepare. And it also has a step-by-step meal prep guide. So for those who are not so savvy in the kitchen, you have your opportunity to see what it's like to plan and prep, where you're not having to do everything all at one time, but you're doing things on certain days, and you have days where you're just grabbing and going and you're not cooking anything. You're just putting it in the microwave. And that is a wonderful feeling when you have hectic days. And so at least that's one less thing you have to worry about on a particular day when you have things already planned out. So we have 5 days of meals and snacks, and you can, once you go through the meal plan, you always have these recipes to mix and match and to play around with, okay, and to use at your will. So definitely take advantage of that. So any questions or any comments, please post any of your experiences that you've had with dining out and some choices. Maybe it wasn't the best choices and you felt bad, or maybe you had some victories. Share some victories that you had with eating out as well. All right, so this concludes what I have for this week's nutrition and wellness news for your mind and your body and your soul. And I am Sandra, your RDN. And thank you for tuning in for today's Nutrition Lunch and Learn. Share this video with your friends and your family. It's all about ironing, sharpening iron. So we are all here to help each other out in this lifestyle thing, right? And so we're going to continue next week on the social life and managing a social life without gaining the weight. And next week, I'm actually going to do an up close and personal segment, which I'm excited. And her name is Ellie Mattern. And this is your opportunity to hear from real people who share their personal journey. Okay, very powerful testimony. So tune in next week for that. And then we will, in the newsletter, for those who are on my newsletter, on my email list, we will talk about the skinny on how to include desserts and sweets without breaking your weight loss goal. So that's another big one too. How do we include the fun food? We got to have the fun food. We got to have some sweets every now and then. All right. So bye for now and see you next week. And thank you for tuning in.